If you guys haven't seen this video already, you must be living under a rock. A trailer released the other day for a game called The Day Before, a new zombie survival set in a post-apocalyptic America, and boy does it look incredible. However, I have my doubts. You see, whilst this looks like one of the most cinematic and most immersive zombie apocalypse games we've had in quite some time, The Day Before worries me. First off, let's have a quick look over the trailer. We can see it starts with two players driving through a desolate city. It has been ravaged by the apocalypse, and it looks like it's a few years after the apocalypse came to be. You see, you can go looting around these cars, and of course, you can then proceed to go looting into buildings. We can see a small corner store here, and we have no confirmation on how many of these buildings are going to be lootable or even enterable at that, but hey, we see a couple in this video, and they do look so detailed, and so much work seems to have been put into them. As our character is looting the shop, he hears something in the distance that's getting closer. Footsteps and talking. You see, once again, there is talking over the voice over IP, and a group of people start coming into the store. They don't look friendly. They have flashlights and guns, but the character slinks into the shadows. But he is spotted, and somehow he takes out the first, and then the second, and then chases down the third. Now, look, granted, it does look incredibly unrealistic that he'd actually win that fight, but hey, it's a trailer. Get over it. But we go on to find the cool looting mechanics, and it has a very similar UI and style with the inventory systems to something like The Last of Us. But we move forward. The friend that we were with at the beginning has been lost. We don't know where he is, and we've got to go look for him. So, the character heads their way into a high-rise building, once again showing us the interiors and a lot of the structures that we can actually enter throughout the game. Going up, we can see some zombies coming towards us, so he takes a right and heads into a lift. Going up the elevator, he comes out. And this shows us a pretty cool mechanic. Not all the zombies are enraged like the ones we saw downstairs, but these ones are different. They're calm, they're dormant. It's as if no one has disturbed them for quite some time. And this is where the game starts to feel like it's pushing into that horror genre. The creaking of the wood. The only thing that you can see is the flashlight and of course sparks from lights every now and then, but with the knowledge that there are some undead infected in the next room. The character is searching, looking for his friend, and finally he walks into a room, and his friend is big dead. The zombies got to him first, and that is The Day Before. And hey, it looks amazing. The amount of detail that looks like it's been put into the trailer, and hopefully in the end the game, is mind-boggling. Now, we've not had a zombie survival game like this for a long time. The last ones that really took us into this era was H1Z1, DayZ. You could say The Last of Us, but that was a single-player experience. You see, The Day Before is hoping to bring an MMO multiplayer experience to the zombie post-apocalyptic world. Judging by that statement, I think it's going to be much bigger scale than something we've seen like the Arma 2 mods and the DayZ standalone. However, this is going to come with many more issues. Getting that many people to actually have a good and decent game is pretty hard, and we've seen it in the past. It often ends up with just being shooting sprees in the middle. You see, this is why it starts to worry me. We see this incredible trailer and we see everything that they have set out, but whilst it is gameplay and whilst you can see that this is definitely something that is running on an actual computer and being played by actual people, every single scene, every single action that you see here, every single camera turn or word spoken is precisely set up. There is nothing natural here. There's nothing spontaneous. Whilst it might look like this is voice over IP, I don't know 100%, but I bet that all the voices are post-done because it's just an easier way of doing it, and you can tell just by the way of talking that it's very much scripted. And this is where I have my doubts, because we've seen this before. When I first saw it, it reminded me of the Sea of Thieves trailer that we got when it was first announced. A group of gamers playing together, having so much fun, and they were finding these events and doing these challenges together, and it was good, but the way they were talking just seemed so forced. Then we later saw it similarly with the Division trailer. A very awesome and gameplay style trailer, but it was incredibly scripted, and we're seeing this again here.
Good. Two more on the right.
Oh yeah, see him. Oh, I threw a Molotov, look out.
Good call, thank you.
I think it's becoming a theme with these very AAA looking post-apocalyptic games like this, that they're going down this route, because they're taking something that is, its selling point is a spontaneous MMO survival game. That's what made DayZ so good, that you could do whatever you wanted in this age of the zombies and the infected. However, all the trailers that we've seen for games like this aren't anything like that. They don't lean on the spontaneity of it. They don't lean on the unscripted nature of games like this. They completely plan every individual cut and action that we see. And it just seems disingenuous, because whilst it says gameplay in the title, and on the surface, visually, this says gameplay to you. But it's not gameplay. It's about as genuine as those CGI trailers that we get for Total War Warhammer, Assassin's Creed, and Battlefield. But those games don't pretend to be actual gameplay. But it's not all doom and gloom. The game does look fantastic. It looks beautiful, and it looks like the developers are putting a lot of effort into it. They haven't had many experiences with games in the past, but it looks like they've got a big team and a big budget behind them. And hey, they're definitely going to need one with this sort of game. Whilst I've said it kind of worries me that we're getting these scripted trailers that are masquerading as gameplay, it seems people are starting to catch on. You see, when this announcement trailer came out, most of the comments and most of the ratings indicated that people are kind of starting to clock that this isn't quite legit. Because there's been a past of games like this that have tried to mislead people with trailers, and it ended up being completely different in the final iteration. However, that aside, all doom and gloom, I think what we've been shown here is a cool cinematic trailer, if anything. I'm not excited for specifically what we can see in this parts of the game, but I'm excited for what more information we get on later. There's very little that we've been told through the websites and trailers. However, we do know there are some cool things like sanctuaries where players can go to meet up with other players. I expect they're going to be safe zones where you can't do any violent acts and you can trade with other people. You can maybe even team up with them and go on quest, and maybe even have it as a safe home base. We don't know if there's going to be any sort of crafting or any sort of base building. That's not even been stated yet. All we've been told is this is an open world survival MMO set in a post-apocalyptic America where you and your friends are going to have to work together to survive and hopefully thrive. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is a trend that's going to carry on? That we're going to see these gameplay trailers that, let's be honest, aren't actually real gameplay? Or are people really starting to clock on at this point, and hopefully these types of things will end? What do you actually think about the game itself? Because we don't actually have much information, but I think it looks absolutely awesome, even if it does worry me a little bit, their advertising tactics. Leave your opinions down below and I'll make sure to check them out. And leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, dislike it. But until then, I will see you in the next one.